The Celebrity White House will not be seen at this time, so that we may bring you a program not based on alternative facts.
To have something to do. and it's funny to say that. It's funny to say that because well, being here in Reading, there's, it's like slim pickings. It's like, should we go to this bar where people are? Should we go to this bar where we kind of know? And then after a while, you're like, oh, I know everyone. And it turns into this thing where it's like really monotonous. And, just like, music scene in itself, actually, there's been like a whole new revival in Reading, I feel, with a bunch of bands who are still carrying out their thing that they've been doing and doing some new stuff. So it's really awesome. And I wanted a part of that. And I wanted
to entertain people.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
We feed off that. I don't know, for me it's just a way to communicate with everybody, and I'm kind of a very socially awkward person, and usually when I'm singing or writing songs or performing, I'm like myself more than I am just out. Social, I don't know how to explain it, so it's been nice, and I like I don't know, I'm an empathetic person, and I just feel like, yeah, I don't know.
Holy crap! All right, I wrote a lot of the first batch of songs, and man, what are they about? It's funny. Sid writes great songs, and she writes very deep, heartfelt, emotional songs, and I just write stupid cowboy songs. It's sometimes how I feel. It's easier to write a ballad, or to write something that's funny or about yourself, or a story or a script, and that's where it opens up for me. Like I'm telling the story. Writing songs, you can.
Sid, you can take that. The song. They just want to know who wrote them.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's just my way of connecting with people and empathizing with other people's problems, and I feel like a lot of us go through the same kind of emotional experiences, and I don't know, it's just, yeah, a way of sharing that.
A lot of it transpired from me and Sid, and
It transpired from Ethan.
Yeah, okay.
Ethan was the first to pick up the guitar. He inspired me to want to play the guitar when we were like, 16 years old, 17? And yeah, he's always been doing his thing, and finally he just decided to go out and actually play for people and share it. He was like a hermit guitar player.
Yeah.
And we were going out together, and yeah, we wanted to start something, and
so was Tony.
Yeah, we started as
one
us.
by one,
started the two of us, and then we got asked to do an hour and 40-minute slot at a festival. We were like, yeah, right. Like we're gonna be able to do that with our little songs. So we got Tony to just like shred and jam, like extend everything out.
Yeah.
And then so she was a hiatus, and I was like, man, I kind of want to keep doing this thing, and I wasn't just going to do it me and Tony, as cool as that would have been. It was cool. It was very still cool, and it's just me and T. But got Kyle in the mix, got Evan in the mix playing Mando and all that. So we're in James fiddle. We're very excited. We're seeing the whole thing branch out, and it's really exciting. Where can you hear us? Jeez.
We're so happy.
Yeah, mostly like SoundCloud, Facebook, YouTube, that way, and we have some stuff that's nicely recorded, but yeah, it's online. It's online as of now.
And we play in town.
Yeah, we do play in town.
You'll see us at Sofritos and Mike's.
Yeah.
If you would like to record us, call the number on your screen.
Yeah.
Please call.
That's perfect.
717 Grexin?
Yeah.
That's the number.
Our name was inspired by basically our culture here in Berks County. We originally were like, that was the hardest thing. We got this band together, we got like 4 of us together at a start, and the synergy was there, the 5 of us, and just the way 2 of us would sing and we would play, it was going on like 4 months, 5 months, and we didn't have a name. And we were like, yeah, we want something like, man, if we didn't live, like maybe Blue Marsh. And it was like just really still in Basin. And we were like, but that's Hex Highway. Yeah, type that into Google. So so in the soup. So we were sitting there, it was the hardest thing to come up with.
I was still partial.
Anyway, so Evan's grandmother.
Out there, that name is not taken. We looked into it. Old scratch.
Anywho. Evan's grandmother is like 94 years old. She's Pennsylvania Dutch. She says telegraph pole. Like she tells him it's Pennsylvania Dutch, like your Ritzin, your Grexin, getting on out of here. Bitching, moaning, complaining. And that's what we all love to do. Every single one of us. It's our human nature. That's how. So yeah, we're happy with it. It's funny. It gives the local people, like when we do like local mountain shows, like with Dave Klein and stuff, in Philadelphia. Well, I wish it was Kutztown Folk Festival, and it's just funny. They could get a kick out of it. It's called Grexin. It's funny.
All right, we're Route 222, Reading, Pennsylvania. I'm Sean Warner.
Anthony Mark.
Derek Hettinger.
And this is our studio with painters.
The way we met and why we paint together is we became roommates in college. Sean and I were roommates first. We met Anthony Mark. Anthony moved into the apartment above us. We socialized a lot, and during those social gatherings, we started painting together, and that's how we began the foundation of 222. We are trying to communicate a generally cultural criticism of Western civilization, of religious ideals, and we are generally 3 minds that become one. So when we have an idea, there is a 4th artist that is the 3 of us bringing 3 unique ideas into one new idea. And so often the octopus has multiple arms. There isn't always one direction towards it, but I would say generally we are painting what we've investigated, we're painting what we know, and illustrating ideas that sometimes haven't been illustrated yet. 3 of us come in each with our own idea, and by the time it's over, a unique experience happened because of the other 2 members. You know,
it's also true that like each of us have our own work and our own style, and none of us really deal with the topics that we do with 222 necessarily. So it gives us a freedom to kind of talk about things we might not in our own work. You know, when there's 3 of you and you want to take something on as big as racism or social injustice of any kind, or how f***ed up our money system is, all that kind of stuff, maybe it's something that we don't necessarily use in our own work, but in 222 that stuff always kind of comes to the surface. They tend to be pretty aggressive paintings, and it's interesting how that happens from this triangulation of 3 painters.
Right.
Probably the best example of like a political commentary from us is a painting that we worked on maybe 10 years ago at this point, or something like that.
Over a span of 4 years.
It took us 4 years. It's a series of 4 by 8 foot long panels. There's 10 of them, so it's ostensibly one 80-foot long painting, and it's called the Occident Express. Rather than the sort of famous Orient Express, meaning Eastern, it's sort of an exploration of Western culture through the train, which is really kind of the American story, right? We started here, and as the train was built, our country sort of left nothing but death and destruction in its wake. And so each painting consists of 3 train cars that in some way or another represent some way that our culture has promoted violence, general bad behavior and a sort of imperialistic attitude that America has had since we started. And those paintings, I think, were probably a real breakthrough for all of us because it was the first time we were working on such a large scale together, and we did an awful lot of drawing. So I think the amount of drawing we did making those paintings, the amount of actual time spent painting them, really sort of taught us what Route 222 was or what it looked like when we worked together. Up to that point, everything was a little more freeform. We got started doing like a live painting event in Love Park, which was sort of like a graffiti and that sort of a flavor. So it was like the idea was kind of show up and make something quick, and that was the first time we kind of slowed down and made a plan and sort of developed an entire sort of almost like a system for how we work.
So I guess if we had a lot more time, then of course it would be great to pursue video games and cartoons and animating some of these crazy, like we talked about animating the train. That would be really wild to see that. I mean, I already imagine it moving anyway, so it's not too hard to just think, hey, this would be easy to do if we had lots of time. And of course, making frames. I mean, I like to carve wood, but I don't really have time for that because, I got all kinds of other things I do. Yeah, we could carve frames and make crazy frames and work sculpture into our paintings.
Clothing?
And yeah, clothing, of course. Well, yeah, we've done some clothing too with the corsets and with Glamtastic. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, I would just love to be working with these guys every day, making art, not swinging a hammer, but gotta swing some hammers.
Our patron saint is George Washington. Yeah. His birthday is February 22nd, which is 2/22. And that's why he's our original patron saint. That's the foundation of a good third of our painting is we do a time lapse. We do a time lapse every single February 22nd. We do some kind of George Washington painting, not always of the man, but of the idea, the dollar bill, the institution, the city. And so political, that's one of our major wheelhouses. If we have 3 wheels in on our tricycle, George Washington's one of them.
Sort of the reason that 222 works this well for so long is that when painting is generally like a solo practice, and the fact that we've I think a lot of artists, when they study in like a school environment, like we all train together, one of the biggest problems you have when you graduate is that all of a sudden you find yourself in a box trying to figure out how to make art for the rest of your life without the kind of dialogue and feedback that you usually get in an academic environment. And I think that, the fact that the 3 of us did train together, but, we all do our own thing when we paint our own work. And we really kind of push each other. Like, as someone sort of figures something out, we see it. If someone really is raising the bar that day, then you kind of just naturally rise to meet them. So I think that collaboration is so important. And I think that artists that find ways to work with other artists tend to have real creative explosions happen from doing that. I think it's so valuable. I think that's one of the reasons that Hydra is so valuable, is because it's a place where artists from different disciplines can come together and work, because I don't think there's anything more valuable to creativity than having that kind of feedback with other artists.
I'm Chris Morlock. I play banjo and piano for Duke Smellington. This is my bass player, Frank Frazier. It's my drummer, Zach DeSantis. And yeah, there you go.
We're like a Duke Ellington Pandora station.
There you go.
So
yeah,
we do a lot of selections from Duke Ellington, and we do a lot of selections from the same period. arrangements of Duke Ellington songs, or Duke Ellington had played arrangements of other people's songs. It's a wide variety. We don't do a whole lot of modern stuff.
Him and I went to high school together, and we started jamming when we were in high school. He was playing bass. I was actually playing guitar at the time.
Electric guitar.
Yeah. And then
ripping like Metallica songs. You
Yeah.
gotta tell them what kind of music we were doing.
I guess when I started playing guitar, I was like that kid that just wanted to learn every Metallica solo there ever was. And that's kind of how I started playing electric guitar. So him and I started playing together, like after school we would jam and stuff. And then we got into a band with his older brother singing for us and our other friend Dave playing drums. We were called the Hoodlum Circus. And that went for a couple years, and then, you know.
We got about 2 or 3 years out of that.
Yeah, and then fell apart or whatever, but we were all still friends. And then we were sort of doing jazz stuff back then too, just playing like open mics, not taking it real seriously. And then
we had like 2 songs. We had like Pink Panther and Autumn Leaves. That was our repertoire at the time. We had about 10 minutes of material.
But then we started getting gigs, just me and him, like at the Waldorf and places around town, just as a duo. And then this guy joined us when? 2015?
Last year.
Like, yeah. We got more material than we can put in 3 hours. We get done a show and it's like, we didn't even play that song. I wanted to do that one. It's kind of a problem that you want to have, I guess. This one time we had to play at a church, and I got in a fight the night before, and I came the next day and my face was all scratched up and black eye, and my ear was all swollen and everything, and I was wearing a suit and I looked really nice, except my face was like still bleeding because it just happened a few hours beforehand.
It was a benefit show too. Like it was a show for charity that we were playing to try to raise money for like a food bank.
I was getting some funny looks that day. It was a good time though.
That's a good show memory, yeah. Chris showed up all jacked up, and Zach and I, we just wanted to look nice. We just wanted to look nice.
I mean, it is a jazz band, so most of the stuff we do are songs written by other people, but then we put our own spin on it. I mean, when you're improvising and stuff, that's all you, but I don't really play any written solos. It's mostly different every time we play. And I mean, there is actually 1 or 2 originals that we throw in there, a couple banjo tunes that, you know, that
exercise.
Yeah. So eventually there'll be more originals, yeah, for sure. But like I said, we're a jazz band, so we're just focused on like playing these standards that I like. You know, I'll be listening to the radio and I'll hear a song and I'll be like, oh, that's a good one, and we should cover that one. And then that's the next song in our project at the end. So.
Yeah, personally, it's an opportunity to learn the jazz catalog. I mean, there's so much of it. I mean, there's no way we could play every jazz song, but, it's an opportunity for us to sort of dig down into that repertoire and learn a lot of those tunes and try to internalize them. And, that's what most jazz players do. I mean, you learn one tune and you learn them all in a way, but...
Nobody ever remembers who wrote a song, but everyone remembers the song when you're talking about jazz music. There's a lot of famous songs. No one knows who wrote them. Speaking pretty generally, but it's got some truth to it though.
But I mean, it'd be great to branch out and play some new venues, check out some new spots. But again, jazz is kind of a niche audience that it's hard to break into. There's a lot of guys established already that sort of play at a lot of the restaurants, and
Yeah, but they're all old, and they'll die someday, and then it'll just be us.
And then it'll be us.
So.
The Ukrainian club. We also sometimes get together at the Ukrainian club. Skip Moyer hosts a jazz jam every, I think it's the first Sunday of the week, or the first Sunday of the month, I mean.
Yeah, the first Sunday of the week.
The first Sunday of the week every week, yeah. It's the first Sunday of the month usually, or is it, I think it's the first.
Yeah, it's the first.
And usually Skip Moyer will host with a lot of his sort of established veteran guys, who've played with Pete Souders, Seth Mellon, John Fandaga. Is that how you say that? Fandaga. Just some of the guys who are really, like I said, the veterans, the guys who've done it forever. I had taken lessons from Skip Moyer in high school. I still see him, try to see him when I, can afford it, and try to brush up and, keep learning.
Nobody wants to be in a band with someone who is no fun.
We're a lot of fun. It might not seem like it, but we're tons of fun. We just have a blast.
My name is Jaime Morlock. I'm an urban abstract aerosol artist. And I do what I do because I love hip hop and graffiti, and this is the best way I can show love for both. When I pick someone to paint, I'm inspired by their music, and I decide to pick an image that I'm inspired by of them, and I choose a color base that I think represents them and try to portray them as best as I can. Being creative means to me I'm able to express myself unapologetically and can do anything I choose to do without repercussion. I knew I wanted to be an artist when I saw there was a need to sort of give rebirth to the hip hop culture because it's been since changing since I grew up. And there's a reason why people need to remember why the basis of it was so important. I feel that hip-hop culture was so important. It started back in the 70s when oppressed people needed a voice. And I think that today, the music's misunderstood. When I work, I listen to people that have influenced me. I listen to the people that are behind me. I listen to Tupac, I listen to Biggie Smalls, I listen to KRS-One. Anyone who had a voice on social issues while I was growing up and had a real stamp on the culture. I am influenced not only by music, but images of the artists. So when I see an image of their face that I think can be portrayed the way that I like to portray them, I take that image and I transfer it onto my canvas, and then I tape it out, and then I'm able to paint it in the colors that I feel that best represent them and their mood and what they mean to me. I think hip-hop culture today has gone away from its roots. I feel that when it first began in the 70s, there was more of a social issue and there was more of a stamp on the generation, whereas today it has definitely changed. The music industry has definitely changed, and I'm just trying to remind people why it all began. I'm still exploring aerosol art as a whole, but I would love to continue different creative paths as far as interior design and fashion, and be able to be accessible to lots of people at every price point. The best advice I've ever gotten was just stay true to me. Be expressive, be unapologetic, and never compromise myself.
We gotta sound like
cap. All his whole wild rides a riverboat, just a humble crocodile. Trophies of Jack's kills scattered on his wall. Jack lives alone, his best friend is his dog. What you gonna do, Jack, now? What you gonna do? What you gonna do, Jack, now? What you gonna do? What you gonna do, Jack, now? What you gonna do? What you gonna do, Jack, now? What you gonna do? Years past in Alabama, Jack's riddled and old. Well, 95 and living out his days out on his riverboat with no sign of the enemy. Don't believe all he was told. Well, 95, he's almost gone. Jack, he's a ball hole. Then one day out in the bay, Jack saw a tiny island, and with a closer look he saw a pair of eyes and a set of teeth that was smiling. Well, the crocs emerged, his tail it thrashed, crash at the keel. Well, the boat started rocking, Jack's overboard, hit the water head over heels. So Will Jack grabs the croc, reaching for his knife, but with the firm grip he holds, held on for life with his trusty knife. The croc begins to nail him bones. What you gonna do, Jack, now? What you gonna do? What you gonna do, Jack, now? What you gonna do? What you gonna do, Jack, now? What you gonna do? What you gonna do, Jack, now? What you gonna do? Another fight, Jack drew his last breath in time. He held tight to the crowd's back while he drove his knife down his spine. Down in that swamp, ooh, the whole town came to see the beside of a man who left a legacy. There upon his grave, among a flower bed, was a set of smiling teeth with the rest of the crowd's head.